The unlikely encounter. Chloe Morrison clutched her warm portfolio tightly as she stepped through the revolving doors of Silvergate Hotels, a towering glass and steel building that housed one of the country's most prestigious hospitality empires. With overdue rent, an empty bank account, and no steady job in sight, she had decided to try the impossible. To drop her resume at a company she admired, even if it meant doing so without an appointment. Determined yet visibly nervous, Chloe strode confidently toward the reception area. The plan was simple: hand in her resume and hope that her passion and guts would convince someone to give her a chance. She made her way to the bank of elevators that whisked employees between the lower service floors and the upper executive suites. Taking a deep breath, Chloe pressed the button for the third floor and stepped into the elevator. Inside, she found a single occupant, a man dressed in a simple, slightly rumpled navy uniform. He was absorbed in his smartphone, his face lit by its glow and his posture calm and deliberate. Without waiting for him to look up, Chloe offered a friendly, "Good morning," as she stepped in. "Good morning," he replied curtly, resuming his focus on his phone. For a moment, the elevator's cramped confines pressed down on her. The silence was heavy, the sound of the elevator's soft hum mingled with the ticking of a nearby clock. Perhaps it was the nerves, or maybe her habit of filling quiet moments with words. But before she could stop herself, Chloe began. "You know, I always think of an elevator ride like a life," she said, her voice soft, yet earnest. "Sometimes you're moving upward, sometimes downward, and sometimes you just get stuck in between." The man lifted his gaze, eyebrows raised in mild surprise as a fleeting smile played across his lips. "That's quite a perspective," he observed. Before Chloe could continue her stream of unconventional philosophy, the elevator shuddered and suddenly halted. The lights flickered and the digital display froze on a number between floors. In an instant, the small metal box became a suspended cell. "Oh no," Chloe murmured, glancing around. The man's expression shifted as he leaned against the cool metal wall, exhaling sharply. I'm feeling a bit claustrophobic," he admitted, his previously calm tone betraying a hint of panic. Instinctively, Chloe stepped a bit closer. "Okay, just look at me," she said calmly. "Inhale, exhale. We're in this together, and I promise you we're not going to be trapped here forever. Besides, no one's going to be squashed between floors today." A nervous chuckle escaped him. Imagine the headline: "Calm conversationalist saves businessman installed elevator." Chloe grinned, buoyed by his attempt at humour. Maybe it would read, "Gabby girl rescues exec with a dose of elevator stand-up. Would you join me for an impromptu comedy set if this were your day job?" she teased lightly. As the seconds stretched into minutes, Chloe filled the silence with observations about life, work, and the little ironies that sometimes made her smile despite everything. She talked about how elevators, like life, offered unpredictable moments when one was forced to pause and look around. The man listened intently, his tension visibly easing as her words wove a warm atmosphere inside the stalled cab. At length, the elevator jerked back to life. The display's numbers began to climb once more, and a gentle hum resumed. When the doors slid open at the reception floor, Chloe gathered her scattered courage. "Well, that was an adventure," she said with a light laugh. Before she could bid him farewell, she noticed on his crisp name tag a single word: Nathan. Intrigued, she smiled as she stepped out into the lobby. Meanwhile, high above, in a richly appointed executive suite, a man with ice blue eyes and a thoughtful expression, now identified as Nathaniel Brooks, found his mind lingering on the brief, unexpected camaraderie of that elevator ride. Later that same morning, Chloe made her way to the front desk, her portfolio tucked under one arm and her heart pounding with a mix of hope and trepidation. In her modest attire, a second-hand blazer, scuffed boots, and a determined glimmer in her eyes, she looked every bit the underdog who had dared to dream. "Hi," she greeted the receptionist politely. "I'm here to drop off my resume. I know there isn't an interview scheduled, but I'd really appreciate a chance to be considered. The receptionist, a woman with a brisk manner and a disinterested glance, flicked through the pages of her resume and gave a curt reply. "We're not hiring at the moment. Please come back later." Chloe's shoulders sagged slightly, but she forced a smile. "Thank you anyway," she said before turning and leaving the building. Outside, the sun felt unusually bright, as if to offer a small consolation for the rejection. Unbeknownst to Chloe, back in the building, on a plush executive floor with panoramic views of the city, Nathaniel Brooks lingered. In his spacious office, adorned with tasteful art and a view of Silvergate's bustling lobby, he replayed the memory of their shared minutes in the elevator. Although Nathaniel was known as the formidable CEO of Silvergate Hotels, today he'd been just Nathan, a man suddenly reminded of the beauty and vulnerability. Unable to shake the impression of the vibrant, articulate woman he had just met, Nathaniel made a spur-of-the-moment decision. He picked up his phone and dialed an extension in the executive office. "This is Brooks," he said, his tone decisive yet laced with a curious excitement. "Today, a woman by the name of Chloe Morrison dropped off her resume. I want her hired starting Monday. No need for a formal interview process." Far away, in the small, cluttered apartment she shared with her best friend, Chloe was scanning online job listings on her aging phone when it suddenly buzzed with an incoming call from an unknown number. "Hello," a calm, measured voice responded. "Good afternoon, Miss Morrison. This is Silvergate Hotels. I'm calling to confirm that you've been hired. Effective Monday, your onboarding paperwork has been processed." Chloe blinked in disbelief. I've been hired, are you sure?" Her friend, who had been quietly spooning cold cereal into a bowl, nearly dropped her spoon. "No way, you just went in, dropped off your resume," she exclaimed, her voice a mixture of shock and joy. Chloe could hardly process the news. A moment of elation mingled with uncertainty as she repeated, "I got the job." I really got the job. Monday morning arrived with an unexpected brightness for Chloe. Despite her continued worries about her appearance and the nagging feeling of being an outsider, she set out early, determined to seize this new chance. After a hurried shower and the careful selection of her most presentable outfit, she arrived at Silvergate Hotels, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and anxiety. Inside, the atmosphere felt palpably different. The reception area now bustled with a new energy, and the once dismissive receptionist greeted her with an amiable smile. "Welcome, Ms. Morrison," she said while handing over a temporary staff badge. "Please proceed upstairs to the Creative Development Division." As Chloe navigated through the maze-like corridors of Silvergate, she couldn't help noticing a man whose presence was inescapable. He seemed to flit from one part of the office to another with an almost hypnotic regularity, always in the same light blue shirt, his eyes warm and observant. Colleagues murmured about him in whispers. "That's Nathan Brooks. He's always around, almost like he's everywhere." Although Chloe couldn't place his significance, she recalled the calm assurance of the man she had met in the elevator and wondered if it might be the same person. Later that morning, during a spirited brainstorming session on a project meant to revitalize the company's image, Chloe found herself presenting an idea that was as honest as it was irreverent. "My campaign will be called No Pretenses," she declared, her voice steady. "It's about exposing the gap between what companies claim they value and the reality of their operations. Let's use humor to spotlight our everyday truths." The room erupted with a mix of laughter and applause. Yet, one reaction was unmistakable: the quiet, approving gaze of the man in the light blue shirt. After the meeting, as Chloe made her way to refill her water cup in the break room, she found him waiting by the cooler. "Did you have fun today?" Nathan asked softly, his tone both teasing and sincere. "Maybe a little," Chloe replied, cheeks warm from the aftermath of adrenaline and excitement. There's something liberating about speaking those inconvenient truths aloud. Nathan smiled, a smile that held layers of understanding. I think being honest with ourselves is something we all need from time to time. Their brief conversation, filled with genuine smiles and unguarded moments, left a lingering warmth that made Chloe's day feel lighter, as though the heavy burdens of her past were suddenly a bit easier to bear. Despite the budding connection, an undercurrent of mystery persisted. Chloe occasionally caught Nathan's eyes lingering on her during meetings, but he always quickly turned away, leaving her both flustered and curious. Then one day, while working late on a creative project in a glass-walled office, Chloe's world tilted unexpectedly. As she presented her ideas to the team, the glass doors slid open to reveal none other than Nathan, this time dressed in a formal, impeccably tailored suit with a polished nameplate reading, "Nathaniel Brooks, CEO." Time seemed to slow for Chloe. The very man whose quiet presence had both calmed and captivated her was the top executive of Silvergate Hotels. In that charged moment, the realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. Everything she thought she knew about their workplace, about the man who had inspired so much hope in a stalled elevator, was about to change forever. In the days that followed, the revelation of Nathaniel's true identity sent ripples throughout Silvergate Hotels. Rumors swirled among the staff, and whispers of favoritism began to surface. Chloe, despite her many successes on the job, found herself caught in a storm of internal investigations. Anonymous emails circulated, alleging that her rapid promotion and access to strategic projects were not solely the result of her talent, but owed something to her clandestine relationship with the CEO. One chilly afternoon, Chloe was called into a meeting with a panel of board members and an unflappable compliance director. The room, with its stark lighting and severe faces, felt like a courtroom. "Miss Morrison," one of the directors began, "we need to address your work interactions with Mr. Brooks over the past 3 months. Can you describe the nature of your relationship?" Chloe inhaled deeply, choosing her words with care. "My relationship with Mr. Brooks has always been professional. I have contributed to every project through my ideas and hard work. Any friendly interactions were simply human moments, not intended to influence corporate decisions." The silence that followed was heavy with scrutiny. Finally, the compliance director spoke. "We have received allegations that you were given special treatment. How do you respond to these claims?" Chloe's voice remained steady, even as anxiety churned within her. "Every opportunity I have been given is a direct result of my work. I have always strived for excellence, and I trust the records will show that my performance speaks for itself." Despite her composed answers, the investigation took its toll. Nathaniel, ever discreet, occasionally sent supportive notes or gifts, a carefully wrapped token left on her desk reminding her of simpler times, a note that simply said, "Before I was CEO, I was just Nathan in an elevator." These small gestures, though laden with unspoken meaning, helped keep Chloe's hope from dimming. Then one day, after another particularly grueling meeting, Chloe and Nathaniel found themselves alone in the quiet corridor near the executive offices. "Can we talk, truly talk, outside these polished walls?" Nathaniel asked softly. Reluctantly, and with a mix of trepidation and longing, Chloe agreed. That evening, they stepped out of the corporate fortress and into the cool night air at a nearby low-key bistro, far away from the prying eyes of Silvergate. Over simple dishes and modest wine, they began to peel away the layers that had separated their public personas from their authentic selves. Before today, I felt like I was living in a world of illusions, a world where titles and badges meant more than what's in our hearts, Nathaniel confessed. I hid behind roles and responsibilities, fearing that real connection might be a distraction from my work. Chloe listened intently, her heart pounding. I felt that too. Every day I wondered if I was being noticed for who I really am, or just for the convenience of a passing favour. She paused. "But when I talk to you, when you speak without the weight of a title, it feels genuine." Their conversation meandered through confessions of personal aspirations, hidden vulnerabilities, and dreams long kept in the recesses of their minds. Nathaniel admitted that his time working incognito among the staff was his way of reconnecting with the soul of Silvergate, something he felt he'd lost behind boardroom strategies and quarterly figures. Chloe, in turn, shared the story of her struggles, of nights spent worrying about making rent, and the wild hope that one daring step might change everything. That night marked a turning point. The confessions they traded were not without consequence. They stirred the rumblings of office politics and fanned the flames of gossip. Yet in the quiet intimacy of that off-hours meeting, Chloe and Nathaniel found a semblance of truth and freedom that even the most careful corporate strategy could not define. As weeks passed, tensions within Silvergate hotels mounted. The internal investigation dragged on, fueled by anonymous tips and whispered accusations. Despite the pervasive atmosphere of uncertainty, Chloe continued to excel in her work, presenting bold ideas that won over even the sternest critics. But every success was bittersweet, tainted by the questions that swirled about her unorthodox rise and her connection to Nathaniel. One day, during a routine coffee break in the staff lounge, a room that had become a sanctuary from the tension, Chloe found herself alone with Nathaniel once more. His expression was a mixture of regret and determination. "Chloe," he said quietly, "I never intended for my hidden identity to overshadow your achievements. I only wanted to experience life without the weight of my title." Chloe's eyes filled with conflicted emotion. "But you can't expect me to ignore what this means," she replied, her voice trembling. "I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but I also feel vulnerable, like every step forward is being questioned." Nathaniel reached out, taking her hand in his. "Let's start over, away from labels, positions, and the constant scrutiny. I want to be with you as Nathan, not as the CEO. I want us to build something real together." Their private conversation, however, couldn't shield them from the prying eyes of the corporation for long. Rumours continued to swirl, and soon the board mandated an even deeper internal review of communications and decisions over the past few months. Chloe was summoned once more to a meeting, a final, tense session in which every word she had spoken was scrutinized. After the meeting, feeling drained and exposed, Chloe found a small package waiting for her at her locker. Inside was a delicate keychain shaped like an elevator, featuring two tiny figures facing each other. A handwritten note attached read, "Before I was CEO, I was just Nathan in an elevator. Write your story next." Though small, the gift carried a weight of promise and possibility. That gesture rekindled a spark in Chloe. Determined to reclaim her narrative, she resolved that she would no longer allow office politics to define her worth. With renewed vigour, she immersed herself in her projects, and slowly the internal investigation reached its conclusion with no definitive evidence of impropriety. The board announced that all employees would be evaluated solely on merit going forward, and the branding division, along with other initiatives, was set to relaunch with Chloe at the helm of creative strategy. The transformation within Silvergate was palpable. The once stifling corporate corridors now hummed with a new energy, a fusion of professionalism and genuine creativity. Nathaniel, too, began to show a more open side. He started joining team lunches casually and even made an appearance at departmental brainstorming sessions, not as the distant CEO, but as a colleague who shared in the laughter and ideas. One crisp Thursday afternoon, as the company gathered to celebrate the success of a major project launch, Nathaniel gently took Chloe's hand during the closing remarks. "Today," he announced quietly to her, "I want to celebrate not only our professional triumphs, but the courage it took for us to be honest, with ourselves and with each other." A murmur of approval rippled through the room, though only a few knew the full story behind the words. Later that evening, away from the glaring lights of the boardroom, Nathaniel invited Chloe for a quiet dinner at a secluded bistro nestled in a leafy part of the city. Over soft music and modest candlelight, they talked about dreams, mistakes, and the hope that had sprouted from an unlikely meeting in a stalled elevator. In the weeks that followed, The couple's secret relationship slowly became an open secret, gossip in hushed tones among the staff, tempered by genuine admiration for Chloe's creative genius and Nathaniel's sincere efforts to be more than just a powerful executive. Their relationship, forged through shared struggles and private moments of vulnerability, began to redefine the culture at Silvergate hotels. In a bold move that symbolized their commitment both to each other and to a new corporate ethos, Nathaniel arranged for a major announcement. A new creative division would be launched, a unit where ideas could flourish without bureaucratic constraints, and Chloe Morrison, whose resilience and authenticity had already turned heads, was named its lead director. The new division, christened Veritas Innovations, was housed in a renovated wing of the Silvergate headquarters, a vibrant space filled with natural light, open workstations, and walls adorned with handwritten notes and artwork from employees. It was here, in a room buzzing with creative energy, that Nathaniel surprised Chloe with a grand gesture. On a sunny morning that felt like the promise of a fresh start, Israeli Nathaniel escorted Chloe to the newly opened lab. Surrounded by smiling colleagues and an air of cautious optimism, he knelt on one knee. "Chloe," he said, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands, "our journey began in the most unlikely of places. A stalled elevator, a shared moment of vulnerability. I have learned that it's not our titles that define us, but our willingness to be real. Will you marry me?" Tears glistened in Chloe's eyes as laughter and applause filled the room. "Yes, wild, unexpected, and utterly true. Yes," she exclaimed, and in that moment the tension of past trials melted away into a joyful promise of a shared future. In the months and years that followed, Chloe and Nathaniel built not only a powerful partnership at work, but also a life filled with genuine affection and creative collaboration. Veritas Innovations soon became the beating heart of Silvergate hotels, a testament to the idea that authenticity could drive success even in the most structured environments. Their story, a narrative that began with a desperate resume drop, an accidental delay in an elevator, and a brave leap into the unknown, grew into a legend celebrated by colleagues and competitors alike. And every time someone mentioned the tale of the elevator romance, it was with a mixture of wonder, admiration, and a reminder that sometimes the most transformative opportunities come when we dare to be ourselves. As twilight settled one cool autumn evening, Chloe and Nathaniel sat together on the balcony of their modest home, overlooking a city that had once seemed so daunting to both of them. "If someone had told me that one stalled elevator could change my life," Chloe mused softly, "I would have laughed." Nathaniel reached out and gently took her hand. "I did too," he admitted, "but here we are, having built a life on honesty, creativity, and a few moments of serendipity." Their laughter mingled with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of the city below, a quiet testament to the truth that every risk taken, every moment of vulnerability, can lead to a destiny more extraordinary than we ever imagined. Epilogue. In the years that followed, Veritas Innovations soared. The division became a symbol of disruptive creativity not only within Silvergate hotels, but across the industry. Chloe's vision and Nathaniel's determination continued to inspire colleagues, while their personal journey became a living reminder that the most genuine connections, born in unexpected circumstances, could transform lives. Their love story, celebrated in boardrooms and whispered as office lore, was a testament to the power of taking risks and embracing our true selves. Every time a new employee walked through the halls of Silvergate, they were reminded that beneath the veneer of corporate formality lay a place where dreams could be nurtured, authenticity honored, and sometimes where a single chance encounter could change everything. As the sun set on another day at Silvergate hotels, Chloe and Nathaniel strolled hand in hand, two souls once separated by circumstance, now united by the courage to be real. And in that simple shared moment it was clear, destiny had arrived precisely as it was meant to, in the most unexpected of places. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Moments of the Heart for more inspiring and heartfelt stories. Your support means the world to us. Stay tuned for more amazing content.